Oh look, guess who turned up and nicked my seat. Anyway, on this programme, we are basically looking at the undercarriage and fitting the nacelle and problem solving. Yes, there's quite a few problems. But anyway, fitting everything, as you can see there, onto the firewall, it's pretty self-explanatory. And at the moment, as you see it there, it's all loose. Nothing's really been glued, as in the axles for the actual undercarriage. So it's all loose. So yeah, if you see it all flopping around, then yeah. You could modify it, and I know Rob has. He has replaced the axles with brass tubing or brass rod to give it a bit more stability. I haven't, because I don't have the equipment and I don't have the time to do it, but Rob did, and I can pretty much guarantee that what he has done is going to prolong that particular life of the undercarriage by a matter of, well, a million. So yeah, kudos to him. So with the side of the nacelle then, and the actual undercarriage bars, as you can see there, those aren't strictly part of the robustness, as it were. It's basically just attaching the actual firewall with that particular bar and actually into the actual nacelle. You could, if you wanted to, replace it with the brass tubing that we've done, but I thought, no, it's not really going to be doing anything structurally for me, so I left it. So fitting the firewall was, again, pretty self-explanatory. You can just pop it in, follow the actual whatchamacallits. Yeah, I'll figure that out later on. But anyway, stick it in, glued it in, not a problem. Now, one thing you'll find as well is all them little black circles and all entendres. Yes, those were the actual injector pin marks. Yes, there's quite a few, and really you do need to get rid of them because you can see them. However, if you don't want to, then don't. It's entirely up to you. But I know Rob has. I do, because it's just me, and yeah. So anyway, fitting it all together. Wow, that was quick. Oh, I haven't finished yet, mate. Putting it all together, it is all, yeah, it's just as per the instructions. What I would do is, from the top side, that's where I would glue, not the bottom side, for two reasons. One, you can fit a shitload of glue in there and it'd be all nice and tight and, you know, secure, plus you won't get all the mess on the other side. So yeah, that's basically what I'm going to be doing. But overall, the fit is rather good, and I know Rob has actually super detailed his firewall and engine bay. I'm not, because again, I don't have the know-how and the time. Now, those are the little buggers in question. Oh look, I got my seat back. Thanks, Rob. Anyway, these are the troublesome things. Yeah, these are basically what's going to hold the bare weight of the actual kit of these rods here for the undercarriage. And what I'm going to do is, I'm not replacing the whole lot, I'm just putting some brass tubing over the entire part. Now, to begin with, you've got to basically either sand it down or scrape it down, which I'm doing there with a scalpel blade. I think Rob was saying that the actual circumference, or the diameter, sorry, of that particular part is 2.3 mil. The actual brass rod, or the tubing, the aperture of that tubing is 2 mil. So in order for it to fit, you're going to have to sand it down, which is not an issue. It does take a bit of time because you don't want to take too much off, but just take your time, take it off, and once you're sort of like more or less there, then you can actually, well, snap it in two, not snap it in two, but cut it in two and insert, innuendo, the brass tubing. Because I'm a Neanderthal man and all my tools are prehistoric, I don't have any calipers, however, I do have some on the way. Ooh. Yes, so I'm really just measuring it with the brass rod to the kit part, a bit of the old magic marker or your permanent marker, and then I can actually start, cutting the brass tubing. Now, I actually was taught this by Rob, of all people, and that is to get a sharp blade, put it over the actual area that you want to cut, and just gently roll it all over and over and over. So basically you are making a wedge for that particular part. So once you've done it, the blade shouldn't move. So if you just do that continuously, and Bob's your uncle, it comes off. And surprisingly, it comes off really well. It's like a very, very clean cut. So that's how you do it. So with that, all I've got to do is cut it in half and insert my rod. Ugh. So now my rod is permanently sort of like rammed in, I can look at basically putting the actual other bits and pieces together. They are a bit fiddly, and once you start putting them together, you're thinking, hang on a minute, how the hell is this supposed to take the weight? Yeah, and you do think, Lenny, you were talking shit, but you're not now, because I can see. So yeah, it is very, very flimsy, and you think, well, you got the anchor points of where the kit parts need to go. That's fair enough, but once they're sort of like together, you get a very, very small margin of either play or the fact that if you do knock it, it's going to snap straight away. So the name of the game is be careful in what you're doing, and yeah, just try and do the best you can, because it's very flimsy and very, very fragile. So with the main struts all popped in and all glued, it was basically time to attach everything to the main mudguard, which will be above the wheel, of all places. So here's a question of just popping everything in, gluing it, and making sure that it still works, as in it's still maneuverable. Now, I don't know if it's me, but that looks incredibly fragile. And believe me, it is. If you weren't to do what we've done, I think if you were taking this kit to a show, it would probably be the first and last that it would go, because the undercarriage would just give up. and it wouldn't actually be the kit parts themselves, as in the rods. It will probably be the actual joins. So this is the reason why that we actually are gluing absolutely everything together as best as we can. So while that was all drying, it's time to put some paint on the inside of the nacelles. Now the nacelles themselves, the inside or the wheel bay, is silver or an aluminium. So really it's a case of just priming the actual areas with black. I think I'll just use a normal XF1 Tamiya black for this. It might have been a rubber black, I can't really remember, but that's not important. All it is a case of just ploughing in, giving it all entendres with a good old bit of black, and then when you come in to do the actual aluminium, the actual colour is quite vibrant. So yeah, that's basically where we need to be going with it. So yeah, cool, you move quick then. But yeah, one thing you will find is when I actually do paint this silver, you'll see that where the actual ejector pin marks, it's going to be quite gnarly. Now, I've done that for a reason. One, why? Not because I can't be asked, is the fact that when you actually do look into a nacelle, it can look quite rough. And the idea is that, you're landing on field, grass runway, or maybe, a concrete runway, and you're going to have all entendres being hit up there or whatever. There's going to be sort of like, well, yeah, sort of like a damage. So that's my excuse, and that's where I'm bloody well leaving it. So yeah, all the question is just, well, yeah, what do I paint it with? AK Extreme Metals, I think it was the aluminium. So yeah, there you go. So when it was all dry, I stuck it all together. So yeah, as you can see, I went from the inside and glued the absolute arse out of it. And yeah, I didn't show you because it's pretty self-explanatory. Once it's all in though, the fit is quite good. You'll have to sort out the seam line as you would do in any normal kit. But a bit of super glue, sand it down, and yeah, it's all ready to go for the main insertion of the legs. Now, at this point, this was the night before I went on holiday. So I glued the absolute bejesus out of it, left it for a week, and I come back and it's all very nice. Yeah, it really is. Super glue, bit of Tamiya extra thin, and yeah, that's the mess of my bench. It's disgusting, isn't it? But anyway, that's the engine. More on that later. So yeah, all glued, all secure. Now, top part, yeah. Now this was a bit of an arse like this, because basically the actual main legs have to be glued to it, well, partly, and the actual firewall. Now, one thing I will say is take your time. Okay. Now, the instructions are, yeah, not very well planned out. And the way that they've done it is, again, they've probably done it the way that the actual real aircraft is. Well, I'm afraid it doesn't work for two reasons. One, the fit is pretty bad. And two, poor undercarriage is different to the right one, because once it's all together and actually on the kit, it's actually on the piss. Yes, and Rob's already pointed that out to me as well. So those are the instruction parts. It does show you that the right side goes onto the actual main firewall part, and the left hand part goes actually as a hook, as it were, over it. And yeah, it's not very well secured. So what I will suggest is again, planting a lot of super glue in that area to make sure that it is secure. And the top part here, yeah, just glue the bejesus out of that as well. That is the best thing I can suggest. Okie dokie, karaoke. Now, fitting the actual nacelle to the actual main airframe. Yeah, take your time on this, because it's a bit fiddly, and yeah, it does take some strength then to actually get it in. So anyway, you can see my brain is working overtime, and it's thinking, oh look, that puff of smoke that's popped out of his head. Yeah, take my word for it, it fits, and it fits really, really well. But to get it in, what you would need to do is, and what I am actually doing, is that particular tip of the wing is going to be implanted in my body, and actually you've got to bend the actual wing itself for the two sides to actually get in. Now, I do urge you to have extreme caution on this one, because one thing you don't want to do is either over stress where the actual wing points are and create a break, or I don't know, worse, yeah, you actually snap the wing in the middle. But it does fit, okay, but it does take a lot of fiddling, a lot of mucking about, and a lot of, oh for fuck's sake, to actually get it in. But once it's in, leave it in and glue the bastard, all right, because you don't want to be going through all that crap again getting it in all nice and straight and secure. But once it's in, believe me, it is a Bobby Dazzler. So with that, it's all in and glued, and yeah, even with that sort of like nacelle missing, once you actually put it on, it really does make the kit even that bigger, and a bit more complete. Self-explanatory and a bit obvious, I know, but it just gives you a sense of, yes, I've got it on, and yeah, we're nearly there. So there you are, it's all done, it's all fitted, and the undercarriage is thankfully all nice and secure. So with that, thanks very much for watching, and yeah, if you don't like what I say, if I repeat it a lot, then
fuck you.